Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Now first I just want to congratulate Sussex Squad. We made it. We survived Meghan's maternity leave and I'm so glad to have her back. Now I'm not sure if y'all realize this, and I've mentioned this before. We are so lucky that Meghan loves us as much as she does, because her maternity leave was not as much of a drought as it could have been. Cause no shade, but y'all pray for the Cambridge Sands if Kate ever gets pregnant again, because I can't imagine what they go through. Y'all forgive me, I'm shady as hell. But it's the truth though, right? So anyway, Meghan loves us because she kept us fed, she kept us happy. You know, I liken it to, you know, when Beyonce's on maternity leave or between albums, and she's dropping little crumbs on Instagram here and there for the Beehive, and just on days when she emerges from her gold-plated underground bunker at her compound. But Meghan gave us so many reasons to be grateful. So thanks, sis. And congrats to you, Meghan, for your massively successful re-entry into the working scene. Honestly, her first engagement back could not have gone any better. And that's essentially what this video is about. It's my reaction to the engagement and the collection. Meghan's capsule collection was everything I could have asked for. It was more than I could have asked for. So on Thursday, Meghan and her team organized an event for the debut of her Smart Set collaboration. I call it hers, but it's really a collaboration between all of those entities. She showed up wearing her own product. And again, technically it's not her product because she's not selling anything, but she's selling an idea, and she showed up in the capsule collection to show that she stands behind her ideas, and she looked great. So respect to her for that. I think that sends a clear message. And she wore the white button-down shirt that we talked about earlier. It wasn't the same one she wore in Toronto. She wore the Smart Set shirt, which again is found on mishanunu.com. Meghan wore the Misha Nunu husband shirt at the Invictus Games when she and Harry first made their relationship public. And the Smart Set shirt is a completely different design. So I think maybe some people might think it's the same exact shirt because it's the same exact designer, but it's a completely different creation. So shout out to Meghan, A, for including her friend, but for predicting her own future with the husband shirt in Toronto. Girl, yes, queen. That really just dawned on me. Meghan wore a shirt called the husband shirt in Toronto at the Invictus Games. And sis wasn't even engaged yet, but she was claiming it. She probably already knew. You know, they say when you meet the one, you know. But Meghan also wore the black trouser, the Jigsaw slim fit black trouser, which is also a part of the Smart Set. And she accessorized her whole outfit with a brown belt, and she also wore a couple of Princess Diana's bracelets as well as Princess Diana's earrings. And I think that's very sweet because that makes her a part of the day in some small way. And I'm pretty sure Princess Diana would be proud of her daughter-in-law. And another thing, by showing up in the collection, Meghan also shows that she stands behind the message in the most impactful way possible, while also recognizing the power that she has as a public figure, knowing that what she wears, others will also want to wear it. And she did everything imaginable to do the most good with that at the event yesterday. So she just keeps giving us reasons to respect her even more than we already do. When she arrived, people were lined up outside, waiting to see her enter and exit the building. And you know, Meghan has supporters all up and through England. That's why I'm always saying to people, don't let folks try to tell you that no one in England likes having Meghan in their country. Like, I honestly used to believe that early on because of the coverage, and I didn't realize what the coverage actually was. But it's becoming clear that the longer Meghan is actually in England, the more people like her. At least that's what I'm seeing from my perspective. And it's a massive failure of the media and the trolls, because they're kind of in on it too, in their attempt to dictate this narrative that Meghan is some monster and that nobody likes her. Because the trolls in the media, they're the only ones trying to convince anyone that there's no love for Meghan in these streets. And they're losing. So it's always good to see people showing up to wave her in, wave her out. Maybe sometimes she'll come and shake their hands and take a selfie and whatever. But I love seeing the people out. We also got to see the end result of the photo shoot from the IG stories from the Sussex Royal Instagram. I love the sepia tone of them, but black and white is always very classic. It's always going to last a long time. And then when you add to the fact that the clothes that they're wearing are classic as well, when you look back at those pictures 20 years from now, nothing about them is going to look obsolete, which is something that is really well thought out. And it turns out that Meghan organized the entire photo shoot, and she came up with the idea for the collection itself, as she describes in the speech. And speaking of the speech, that had to be one of the best things about the whole engagement, because it's like people forgot who this woman is, and she had to remind folks that she snatches inches on a regular basis. And not to take too much attention away from the project itself, the collection itself, but like Meghan had 0 notes. People always say that Sussex Squad lays it on thick with the Meghan praise, and yeah, you know, sometimes I do go overboard. I can't speak about nobody else, but it ain't like she don't deserve it, right? But people don't really understand how difficult it is to give a 6-minute speech. One of the most notorious fears and phobias in the world is public speaking. So 6 minutes might not sound like a lot, but in front of people, that's like a lifetime. But not only that, she made eye contact with people the entire speech. And so I think that's one of the things that makes her speeches so great, because you feel like she's talking to you. And even if you're not there, like we all watched it on our phones or on YouTube or wherever, or Instagram, you get the sense that she's at least connecting to the people that she's talking to. So it gives you who she is authentically, right?
Thank you so much for being here today. It's very exciting and it looks beautiful. And I'm sorry if you were waiting for a bit in this sunshine, though. It's pretty nice to have such good weather. So I thought that it would probably be helpful for you to understand how we ended up here today and why this collection was so important to conceive based on the visits and what I was seeing when I was on site at SmartWorks. And let's maybe go back a little bit. Should I hold for sound? They're great for that. When I first moved to the UK, it was incredibly important to me personally to be able to connect with people on the ground doing really important work. And one of the places that I went to very early on was SmartWorks. Now, funny enough, and purely by coincidence, it was just a year ago at the same time that I was working on a project in Grenfell with this woman at a community center called Almanar, and that's when we put together the Together cookbook. So though this is a year later, and obviously this is fashion, not food, at its core, these are very similar projects because they're about women who are empowering each other, me being able to have the opportunity to meet them, get to know them, learn from them, and then say, what can I do in some small way? How can I try to help you amplify this? How can we make this even better, greater, and more impactful for the women that you're trying to help? So on my visits to SmartWorks, one of the times that I went, I realized there was a little bit of a challenge in terms of styling for the women because we had a lot of donations, but not necessarily the things that women needed to have. I said, okay, well, let's try to work with what we have and make the best of it. And then the next time I went, you'll remember this, there was a rack of about 40 or 50 lilac colored blazers. Now, don't get me wrong, it's a great blazer. And I'm sure for someone, it's exactly what she wants to be wearing. But for most women, when you're going in there and you want to have a job interview and you want to feel your very best and you want to feel confident, you want to be wearing the pieces of clothing that make you feel that way and not the leftovers that didn't sell from the end of the season. And I kept thinking about it as I went home and it didn't track for me, and I said, we have to do something to change this. And a big piece of this is trying to transform the idea of charity to community. And the way that we do that, I think, as people, is when we go into our closet as a woman and you say, I'm going to make a donation, you don't go through your closet and just toss in a box whatever you don't care about anymore. That's charity as we know it today. Community is going through your closet and saying, this is the blazer that I wore when I nailed my first job interview and got my dream job. And I don't need that anymore because I'm where I want to be. But if I'm able to share that blazer and be part of another woman's success story, then that's community. And so when I thought about it in that personal space, I said, on a bigger level, what can we do with brands and what companies would be would be able to help us convene and come together to really build a collection for the women of SmartWorks that could be the pieces that they need to feel confident going into those rooms. This is sort of how we thought of the SmartWorks capsule collection. The first designer that I thought of immediately was a really good friend of mine, Misha Nunu, who has spent a lot of time with her brand ethos developing women's empowerment, but also specifically a capsule wardrobe. So you have key pieces that you can mix and match and really maximize what you have. We all know that in your closet, right? You have certain pieces that you can take from 4 items of clothing and suddenly you have 10 outfits. So that was really important. Separately, I thought, if this is going to be classics and essentials, what are traditional and quintessential British brands that I've become introduced to once I moved here that for me resonated and I knew would resonate with a SmartWorks customer? And that seemed obvious to do M&S and John Lewis, which I've worn quite a bit in the past year or two since I've been here, and they thankfully said yes as well, as did Misha. As we've seen this evolve, I think what's been really amazing is to know that these women will now be equipped in a project that will just be a couple weeks, but will give us enough units to be able to have the women at SmartWorks have these key essentials for a year. And that in and of itself, to be able to have one small project that has such big impact, is something that I'm really connected to. This is the kind of work that I've been doing for a really long time, and to be able to do it here in my new home of the UK means quite a bit to me. It's also the same vein of work that my husband and I will continue doing, really strong community-based projects. And this is something that we'll be excited to be able to share more about next year when we launch our foundation, Sussex Royal, in 2020. So I think at the end of the day, I just want to thank all of you for being able to be here, be a part of this success story for these women. I think it's really key in this day and age that we remember it's not just about the people that you know that you're supporting. It's about the people that you don't know, that you may never know, you may never meet. As women, it is 100% our responsibility, I think, to support and uplift each other, to champion each other as we aim to succeed, to not set each other up for failure, but instead to really be there rallying around each other and say, I want to help you. And you may not ever meet that person, but you'll know when you put on that blazer or that shirt, or you carry that tote or put on those trousers or that dress, that some other woman on the other side of this country is wearing that piece because you made that purchase. And that's why the one-for-one model I found was so incredibly important, and that's why I'm really touched that everyone agreed to do this business model in that way. One quick thing that I found out as we were in the car on the way over here was that the tote's already sold out online. So that's great. And my hope is for any of the brands, if you do have that level of success that you're seeing really early on, to hopefully amplify what you've been able to already be so generous in doing with your contribution, and extend it for just a little bit more so that everyone can play a part in this shared success story. So thank you all so much. I really appreciate it, and I will hand it over to you on the panel. Thank you.
Her presentation was very well done. It was very professional, and it shows how comfortable she is with herself, which is incredibly hard to accomplish in front of a crowd. Good on her. Like, she stood there in her own shoes, on her own 2 feet, in her own skin, as comfortable and as at peace with herself as anybody could be. I love that she included her friend Misha Nunu in the project. Misha is obviously great at what she does, but her inclusion of her friend is something that I see as another example of Meghan being a woman who lives by her words and empowers women around her. And big up to all the women who support their friends economically. Man, there are very few things that are as powerful as that. And I'm sure Misha is, somebody who was doing her thing even before Meghan became a duchess, right? But I hadn't heard of her before Meghan. And again, that certainly doesn't mean that other people haven't heard of her too. I'm sure many people have. But what Meghan has done is raised her profile to a global audience. Not once, but twice. Again, she did it in Toronto, and she's doing it with the capsule collection. That's what friends in her position should do. And that's why I'm constantly praising Doria, because that's not created in a vacuum. She taught her daughter to be a human being who cares about other human beings, to be a person in the world who cares about the world outside of her own bubble. But by her example, I hope more people who are looking and paying attention are encouraged to care about people around them and to know that they can make change too, even if it's a small change that you make. You don't have to be the Duchess of Sussex or the Prince of Wales or the Queen of England to make change. The collection itself is very fitting, very professional for what it's supposed to accomplish. It's simple, it's minimalist, but it's very versatile, and it's easy to pair with other things, which is so critical for any woman just trying to get back into the workplace, having to build up their wardrobe, right? Because think about it. If you're looking for a job, you probably don't have enough money to go out and buy 5 completely different outfits so you can start your first work week. So to be able to have a pair of trousers that you can pair with a different shirt, or, maybe if you had to wear the dress the same, dress in the same week, you could pair it with a belt, and one day you wear it with a cardigan or something, I don't know. But things that are easy to pair, that you can mix and match truthfully in perpetuity while you are little by little building up your work wardrobe. So I think they knocked it out of the park with the whole collection. And the tote bag, my Lord, I still haven't gotten my hands on it. As Meghan said, it sold out before she even got to the event. But today I just saw a tweet that said somebody got an email from John Lewis and Partners from the email subscriber list saying, hey, the bag is back in stock. And by the time they got to the website, it was sold out again. So that's clearly like the hot item so far in the collection. I mean, it's a really cute bag. Check it out if you haven't seen it. By the way, I'm linking all of the items in the description. But I went to the website. The trousers were sold out in 2 sizes so far, and this is just day 2 of the collection. The dress was sold out in 2 of the 3 colors. And so just a little bit over 24 hours in, that's already the success we're seeing. And it looked like they plan to restock throughout the 2 weeks. And so that's good to know, because that means it was also very well planned and very well executed on all fronts. So the entire thing was planned in less than a year's time, which is amazing. Well done to everybody that's involved, from SmartWorks and their clients to the brands and the Duchess of Sussex. Well done. And a lot of you guys may or may not have realized this, but Harry also had an engagement. He went to the Rugby Football Union All Schools program at Leland's High School. And that program was launched to increase the number of secondary state schools playing rugby union, with the aim of introducing 750 additional schools to the game. And from what I can tell, because I don't know a whole lot about rugby, but Harry loves his rugby. Maybe that's just an England thing, right? Just like Americans love their football. But or it's a non-American thing, I should say, because maybe they play rugby in other places besides England. No, I know they play it in New Zealand. Shout out to the All Blacks. That's pretty much all I know about that. But yeah, Harry loves his rugby just about as much as that one schoolgirl loves Harry. She is all of us. And here's the thing. Kids love Harry. That much is true. Now, kids lie about a lot of things, but they don't lie about whether they like you or not. This I know. So that was great to see. Let me know if I missed anything, and also let me know what you guys want to add about the collection or Meghan's return from maternity leave. You know what's coming up next. Africa. We're less than 10 days away. So girls and guys, get ready. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share if you wish, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Bye.